Putin Gog and Magog. What does the Bible tell us about what we are seeing in the world today? What does Putin want? Is Putin insane? Does Putin have a demon? The Gog-Magog prophecies of Ezekiel and Revelation. Who are Gog and Magog? Why does Allah of the Qur'an control Gog and Magog? Who is Allah of the Qur'an in reality? How can we know the truth? And what does Jesus promise all believers? The first question to answer is, what does Putin want? The West does not understand what Putin is trying to do. While Putin may want to take the territory of the Ukraine, first and foremost, Putin wants to reunite the Russian Orthodox Church to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Putin is engaged in a vast spiritual war, but he does not understand what he is doing. He has been deceived. To understand what Putin wants, all we have to do is listen to him. Here is Putin speaking on February 23rd of 2022. I would like to emphasize again that Ukraine is not just a neighboring country for us. It is an inalienable part of our own history, culture, and spiritual space. This is a spiritual battle. The next questions are, is Putin insane? Or does Putin have a demon? Putin is not insane. Putin is possessed by many demons. Putin thinks of himself as the Prince Vladimir who brought Christianity to the Ukraine and Russia in the year 988. When you look at the bombing campaigns in the Ukraine, you will see that no Orthodox churches are being bombed. This is no accident. We can only speculate about Putin's spiritual destiny. No one knows the heart of any man but Jesus Christ himself. But we do have teachings from Jesus that tells us what to look for in false prophets and evildoers. Listen to what Jesus teaches us in Matthew chapter 7, verses 15 to 20. Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but are inwardly they are ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit, you will recognize them. Jesus tells us even more. In Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 through 23, Jesus says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles?' Then I will tell them plainly, 'I never knew you. Away from me, you evildoers.'" Now let's look at the prophecies of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel and Revelation. These prophecies are about nations that will attack Israel in the last days, which is what we are beginning to see today. This means the time is short. The word of the Lord came to me, "Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshek and Tubal. Prophesy against him and say, 'This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Gog, chief prince of Meshek and Tubal.'" Ezekiel 38, verses 1 to 3. Where is the land of Magog? The land of Magog is northeast of Israel, the Islamic Caucasus controlled by Russia. Next, we know what God will do from Ezekiel 38, verse 4. I will turn you around, put hooks in your jaws, and bring you out with your whole army, your horses, your horsemen fully armed, and a great horde with large and small shields, all of them brandishing their swords. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them, all with shields and helmets, and Gomer with all its troops, and Beth Togarmah from the far north with all its troops, the many nations with you. Ezekiel 38, verses 5 to 6. We learn more about Gog and Magog in Revelation chapter 20. When the 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and to gather them for battle. In number, they are like the sand on the seashore. They marched across the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of God's people, the city he loves. But fire came down from heaven and devoured them, and the devil, who deceived them, was thrown in the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever. After his invasion of Ukraine, Putin is increasingly looking to the Islamic world for help. Here we can see Putin with Turkey's President Erdogan reading from the Qur'an. Also, we can see Putin opening a large mosque in Moscow. Putin's Islamic fighters from the land of Magog train in front of a copy of the Kaaba from Mecca, the image of the beast of Revelation. Next, we will answer, who are Gog and Magog? Magog is the land northeast of Israel in the Islamic Caucasus. Gog is a spirit that only answers to Allah of the Quran. We know that Allah controls Gog and Magog because Allah says so in the Quran. Quran chapter 21, verses 96 and 97. Until Gog and Magog are let loose and begin swooping from every mound, and the time for the fulfillment of the true promise of Allah draws near, whereupon the eyes of those who disbelieve will stare in fear, and they will say, Woe to us! We were indeed heedless of this, nay, we were wrongdoers. Quran chapter 18, verse 99. And we will leave them, Gog and Magog, that day surging over each other, and then the horn will be blown, and we will assemble them in one assembly. The next question we will answer is, why does Allah of the Quran control Gog and Magog? Allah controls Gog and Magog because Gog is an evil spirit that is opposed by the true God. Allah of the Quran is not God, but a combination of spirits that want to be God. These spirits refer to themselves in the plural in the Quran, calling themselves we. By studying the teachings of Jesus, we can detect demonic speech like that in the Quran. Demons go from singular to plural in the same sentence. In Mark chapter 1, we can see this. Mark chapter 1, verses 21 through 26. They went to Capernaum, and when the Sabbath came, Jesus went into the synagogue and began to teach. The people were amazed at his teaching, because he taught them as one who had authority, not as the teachers of the law. Just then a man in their synagogue who was possessed by an impure spirit cried out, What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God. Be quiet, said Jesus sternly. Come out of him. The impure spirit shook the man violently and came out of him with a shriek. We see the same demonic speech in the Quran. For example, in Quran chapter 5, verse 48, To each of you, we prescribed a law and a method. Had Allah willed, He would have made you one nation, but He intended to test you in what He has given you. So race to good. To Allah you will return altogether, and He will inform you concerning that which over you used to differ. How can we know the truth? Where can we find the truth? Jesus is truth. Jesus is the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through Him all things were made. Without Him nothing was made that has been made. John chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. The fulfillment of the Gog-Magog prophecies tells us that the end times are now upon us. Listen carefully to Jesus. Jesus wants all mankind to be saved, but there is no path to the Father but through the sacrifice of Christ. Our works will not gain us entrance into heaven. Only the sacrifice of Christ gives you access to heaven. You can trust the many resurrection truths of Jesus Christ. After that, He appeared to more than 500 of the brothers and sisters at the same time, most of whom are still living, though some have fallen asleep. Jesus fulfilled more than 351 Old Testament prophecies. The prophet Daniel gives the crucifixion date more than 600 years before it happened. This is given in Daniel chapter 9, verses 25 and 26. March 5th, 444 BC to April 3rd, 33 AD is 173,880 days, just as Daniel said. NASA confirms a lunar eclipse over Jerusalem on April 3rd, 33 AD at 6 p.m. But that is not the end of the story. Jesus did not remain in the grave. Jesus rose from the dead on Sunday, April 5th, 33 AD. Suddenly Jesus met them. "Greetings," he said. They came to him, clasped his feet, and worshipped him. Isaiah tells us, "But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed." Jesus answered, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." John 14:6. Jesus is truth. Find the truth while you still have time.